Welcome back to High Stakes. Elevate your betting game by hitting that subscribe button and ensure you never miss out on our daily content. Want exclusive access to premium betting picks? Join our Patreon. Links are waiting for you in the comment section below. Stay ahead of the game with High Stakes. Texas A&M Aggies versus UCF Knights prediction. The Texas A&M Aggies are ranked 13th in the nation in the preseason poll for a good reason. They're simply the superior team. Under the leadership of Coach Buzz Williams, the Aggies have demonstrated strong recruiting abilities, compiling a 52-23 record over the past 2 seasons. According to Ken Palm's preseason net ratings, Texas A&M sits 16th with a rating of plus 21.46, while UCF is ranked 66th with a plus 12.29 rating, highlighting a significant gap between the two programs. Prediction: take the Texas A&M Aggies to cover the spread in what should be a competitive matchup. With a spread of minus 4.5 points in favor of the Aggies, it's important to note that while the UCF Knights have lost some talent, they still possess the capability to score effectively. They've brought in transfers Jordan Ivy-Curry, 17.1 ppg at UTSA, and Keyshaw Hall, 16.6 ppg at George Mason, alongside the addition of Mustafa Thiam, the 28th ranked prospect in the 2025 ESPN 100. On the other hand, the Aggies return one of the top scorers in the SEC, Wade Taylor IV, who will spearhead their offense. Both teams have strong scoring potential, suggesting a high-scoring game is on the horizon. Prediction: expect the total to go over 144.5 points. Monmouth Hawks versus Michigan State Spartans prediction. As the 2024-25 season kicks off, both Monmouth and Michigan State are looking to their returning players to step up and fill significant gaps. Michigan State brings back 7 players who contributed to their NCAA tournament run last year, alongside versatile transfer Frankie Fiedler. While the Spartans may need some time to establish their offensive flow, they are poised to excel defensively. Legendary head coach Tom Izzo is known for instilling a tough, gritty defensive mentality in his teams, making it difficult for opponents like Monmouth to find scoring opportunities. Last season, James Madison stunned Spartans in East Lansing, but they had a roster filled with high-level scorers and strong defensive players. In contrast, Monmouth lacks the firepower on both ends of the court to threaten Michigan State, making it likely that the Spartans will cover the spread in this matchup. Prediction: Michigan State to cover. With a spread of minus 18.5 points in favor of Michigan State, it's important to note that both teams averaged just over 72 points per game last season, but they both lost their leading scorers. Monmouth struggled defensively, with only 2 players averaging 10 points per game or more. Points will likely be hard to come by in this game. Michigan State is counting on its returning role players to elevate their game, but it may take time for them to adjust after losing their big 3, Walker, Hall, and Hogan. Last season, the Spartans were ranked 309th in adjusted tempo, and they have historically favored a slower pace of play. Given both teams' struggles to find offensive identity early in the season, expect a low-scoring affair. Prediction: under 140.5 points. Ohio U versus James Madison. Ohio U Bobcats versus James Madison Duke's prediction. A key concern heading into this matchup is how James Madison will respond after losing over 80% of their scoring from last season. Until we see which players can step up to fill that void, it's hard to back the Dukes confidently. Ohio, on the other hand, is also missing their top player from the previous season, but they benefit from greater continuity among returning players, making their situation less precarious. Prediction: Ohio Bobcats plus 2.5 points. Take Ohio to cover the spread as they head into this game as 2.5-point underdogs. They offer good value, especially with moneyline odds sitting at plus 120. Both the Ohio Bobcats and James Madison Dukes showcased solid offensive capabilities last season. However, with so many players gone from both rosters, their offensive efficiency could be compromised. Both teams are likely to be adjusting to new roles and dynamics, which could lead to defensive improvements as well. Considering the significant roster changes and the uncertainty in scoring, the safer bet in this season opener is the under. Prediction: under the total points. Wright State Raiders versus Kentucky Wildcats prediction. As Clint Sargent steps in as the 10th head coach in Wright State history, He's tasked with reviving a program that has missed the postseason for the last 2 years, despite consistently winning at least 18 games over the past 9 seasons. The Raiders were picked to finish 5th in the Horizon League preseason poll, and they boasted the 4th highest scoring offense in the country last year, averaging 86.5 points per game with an impressive 53% shooting percentage. However, their defensive struggles were glaring, allowing an average of 81.2 points per game, the worst in the Horizon Conference, and surrendering 8.6 three-pointers per game. The Raiders will have to navigate the loss of their top 2 scorers, but they do have a solid core returning. Brandon Noel, last season's leading rebounder, was named the Horizon Conference Preseason Player of the Year, while guard Alex Hubrechts earned second-team preseason honors after contributing 12.3 points and 3.3 assists per game last year. Kentucky, on the other hand, is in a state of transition with a largely new roster. Only 2 players returned from last year's team, and the Wildcats were picked to finish 8th in the SEC preseason poll. New head coach Mark Pope, a former Kentucky captain, comes from BYU, where he achieved a 110-52 record and led the Cougars to 2 NCAA tournament appearances. The Wildcats will lean on transfers like Jackson Robinson, last season's Big 12 Sixth Man of the Year, and center Amari Williams, a 7-footer from Drexel, to make an immediate impact. Both teams are kicking off new eras with new head coaches, and the matchup presents an interesting dynamic. Kentucky has a significant size advantage, especially down low with Williams, who will be making his regular season debut at Rupp Arena. However, Kentucky's new roster may face challenges on the defensive end as they gel together, potentially leading to some early season growing pains. Wright State's experience and offensive prowess could give them an edge, particularly in a high-scoring matchup. Despite the talent disparity, the Raiders are seasoned enough to keep the game competitive. Prediction: Wright State plus 19.5 points. Expect a fast-paced game, as both teams ranked highly in adjusted tempo last season, Kentucky 12th, Wright State 22nd. With Mark Pope implementing an up-tempo offense similar to his successful BYU tenure, where they ranked 14th in adjusted offense, and Wright State's formidable scoring history, fans should expect a shootout. Prediction: over 159.5 points. Toledo Rockets versus Troy Trojans prediction. As the Toledo Rockets gear up to face the Troy Trojans, both teams come into this matchup with differing narratives following the offseason. Toledo is navigating a significant roster overhaul, leading to uncertainty about their effectiveness early in the season. Preseason projections indicate a potential decline for the Rockets, making their performance an intriguing storyline. In contrast, Troy is banking on established players like Rigby and Conaway to maintain their momentum from last season. The Trojans enjoyed a successful 2023-24 season at home, boasting an impressive 11-2-1 record against the spread and going 10-2 as favorites. Their offensive capabilities were noteworthy, with an average of 79.6 points per game, ranking 43rd nationally among 362 NCAAB teams. This scoring prowess will be a critical factor as they take on a Toledo team that struggled to cover on the road with a 7-6 ATS record. Prediction: Troy minus 4 points. In terms of offensive capabilities, both teams shined last year, with Toledo averaging 80.0 points per game, 39th best, and earning a respectable offensive rating of 113.0, 44th best. However, their defense was a liability, as evidenced by a defensive rating of 107.5, ranking them 277th. On the other hand, Troy's offense ranked 97th with a rating of 110.0. With returning talents like sophomore forwards Rigsby and Thomas Dowd, along with senior guard Conaway, the Trojans have the firepower to put points on the board. Given both teams' offensive strengths and Toledo's defensive shortcomings, this game is set to feature a lot of scoring. Prediction: over 153.5 points. In summary, expect Troy to cover the spread at home, leveraging their experience and recent success. With both teams likely to engage in a high-scoring affair, the over is the smart play here.